Welcome back to The Good Talk here in studio at West Coast Creative Studio. Today we have Danny Williams. Welcome to the studio, man.
Dude, thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's go ahead and start with a little intro. So give the audience and me a little intro about who you are and what you do, basically.
Okay, cool. I'm Danny Williams. Thanks for the kind intro. I am a founder. So me and my partner have a business. We have a global retreats business where we help people to step back, zoom out, get clear on why they do what they do, what's important to them, and return back to their life with more clarity, more peace, more calm, more joy, more happiness, more fulfillment. That's what our business is based on and what we're passionate about. I'm also a content creator, so I create content online, and I do modeling as well, like here and there, but that's not my main focus.
Yeah, your main focus is your business, Rewhyrd.
Rewhyrd. It's kind of like an extension of me and my personal values, and I think Becky would say the same. My other half, she's just outside.
Becky, we just had her on the podcast.
We just had her on the pod.
Yeah, great sales.
Incredible.
I don't know what I would even call it, but she's incredible. Awesome. I learned so much from the podcast I had her on. So
I learned so much from her every single day.
Yeah, I could see that you guys learn a lot from each other.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
I definitely, my gosh, I learned so much from her, even just background Zoom calls and hearing how she coaches people and all that stuff. It's a real blessing. Rewhyrd is kind of like an extension of us and our values and what we're passionate about, what we care about. Rewhyrd is designed to help people change the way that they live their life for the better. I think that's something that we all can find hard sometimes. A lot of the time we know what we want, or we know what to do, but we fall back into old habits, into old mentalities, into things which don't serve us, into people or places that don't serve us. And Rewhyrd exists to almost like close that gap and give people a platform to make permanent change, not just those like, I started this thing and then I fell off and I ended this relationship and then I ended up going back to the same person who was toxic. All those kinds of things. We try and make these positive changes, but sometimes we find it so hard to stick to the positive changes, even when we know in our mind it's good for us. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to rewire the way that we think so that our behaviors reflect the thoughts and the beliefs we truly want to embody. And
that's why it's Rewhyrd.
That's Rewhyrd, right? And we spelled it like with the word "why" in the middle. So it's a bit difficult to read sometimes. It's not a real word. We made it up. But figuring out what your why is at the center of everything. It's at the center of long-term behavior change. If you figure out the why, the how will take care of itself. I stole that quote from Becky. That's one of her phrases, but it resonates so deeply because it's so true. Like we try to do the how so much without knowing the why behind what it is we're trying to do or achieve or build or create or develop, right? The second we understand the why behind it, and when the why is important enough to us and it's aligned with our values and it's aligned with the person that we're trying to become, the how just figures itself out, right?
Yeah.
If I told you had to make $1 million in your business in the next 12 months, you might be scrambling to think of how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
If I told you that if you don't do it, then the person you love closest is going to die, all of a sudden you've got a different why and you're going to figure out the how. I'd bet my life on it you'd figure out how. Yeah. And so we help people at Rewhyrd to figure out their why so that all of the hows and the question marks of what to do with their life kind of figure themselves out.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Of course, 100%. I love everything you just said about the business and helping other people figure out their why. That's a very important thing to figure out in whatever you're doing, whatever aspect of life. And I think the fact that you figured this out at a young age is wonderful. If you can help out other young people figure out their why at such a young age, dude, that's beautiful. You know, back in the day, there's not a lot of people doing this. So I think it's awesome that you're doing this. So
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course. So you are from the UK.
I am from the UK.
As people can tell from your accent.
Yes, yeah.
People from the UK just sound so much smarter than people from the US.
You know, people say this, but then if you're from the UK, you sort of think that we all sound like idiots as well.
What do people from the UK think people from the US sound like?
Like you've all been on television. I mean, we're in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
We're in LA. Everyone in America sounds like they have been on TV before, or if not, they're supposed to be on TV. At least that's how we see it. And then I guess Americans listen to us and think that we're all academics and, you know, we sit in the library and read books or whatever else.
Read some books.
But no, I appreciate what you just said a moment ago about helping young people. I wanted to just reflect on that for a sec because one thing I really think is important is I don't sit here and try and pretend like I'm like super noble and giving and altruistic and all that, because although I do care about these things, a lot of it comes from a place of going through those things myself and then having to figure out like what's important to me, what are my values. And I think that's where a lot of young people get stuck. We a lot of the time have to go through something really, really hard or have like a near-death experience to really get close to what we think is important in life. The average person hits around 40 to 50 years old, and we call it a midlife crisis, and then they figure out what to do with their life. I was very, very fortunate, I believe, because I went through a couple of experiences, and nothing dramatic and nothing like particularly unusual, but experiences when I was younger than the average person that I think forced me to look inwards and forced me to think differently and forced me to ask myself those questions of like, who do I want to be? What do I value? What do I care about? What don't I care about? If I continue doing what I'm doing now, is it going to lead me down a path of some, is it going to lead me to somewhere that I actually want to go? And I asked myself those questions when I was quite young. And so now I get to do what I'm doing now at 28 with Rewhyrd, where I think a lot of people hit that same point in their sort of 40s and 50s. So that's probably where a lot of the passion comes from, is like coming from a place of not knowing the answers to those questions, not knowing what my values are. I kept repeating old patterns and old habits and old behaviors that wound me in situations that didn't make me proud of myself. And so I needed to change something, but I couldn't figure out what. And so now Rewhyrd is like really an extension of all of those experiences with the help at the end of it to get people to the same point I like to think that we're at now, right? It's like, okay, you can go left or you can go right. Which one makes you feel more like the best version of yourself? And then you get to have a choice rather than this like victim mentality that we see so often, which I definitely used to have, where it's like, I don't have a choice. I just can't help but fall down these patterns. It's like, no, you have a choice. All you got to do is figure out your why. And once you figure out your why, your options they'll be wide open. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So let's go back to where you're from.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to get to learn a little bit more about you. Right?
Yeah, bro. Let's do it.
So you're from the UK, and it seems like you figured all this stuff out pretty young. How old were you when you figured out your why?
Oh my gosh. Caveat, I think figuring out your why is like, it's like a never-ending pursuit. I think it's something which evolves and grows over time. I also believe that your why, as you grow older, becomes less about you. When you're younger, it's more selfish. And as you get older, it's more selfless. I think that's like a natural development. I think I grew up in a very stressful household. I'm from a really poor like council estate in the UK. So I'm not from a nice area. It's a lot of financial instability, a lot of stress, and growing up wasn't easy for me. And so I always found myself looking for outlets and looking for ways to escape. As I developed into my teens, I ended up getting a job working in a bar, actually. My first job was like a bar job. I was like 15 years old and I was collecting glasses. You know, like the dirty glasses in a pub and
like
in
a
a
buzz
bar.
boy, like a buzz boy.
Yeah. We call it a barback in the UK.
Oh yeah, we call them. Oh yeah. I think that's what we call those barbacks too as well.
Yeah. So I was a barback, and I was obsessed with learning cocktails. I wanted to work on the bar. I didn't want to be a barback.
Wanted to be
I wanted to be a bartender. All right, I'm 16. I want to be a bartender. I want to I'm seeing these guys flipping bottles, pouring drinks, flirting with the girls and all it's a cool I want a bit of that. And so before I knew it, I made it my mission to get on the bar and not be collecting glasses anymore, but serving customers. And although that was a really great progression for me, I found myself in this environment of like going on nights out, drinking alcohol, being around drugs and all these kinds of things at 16. And before I knew it, I'm like 18, 19, and I'm not going to school. I'm not going to university. I'm prioritizing these vices because really deep down, I'm escaping a bunch of feelings that I don't want to feel. I'm not prepared to accept or acknowledge. And that was really the start of me figuring out my why, to answer your question, because I kept finding myself in situations which just didn't make me proud of myself. Those, I wouldn't even say it's like like when you're hungover after a night out, you're like, oh, why did I drink again? Those kind of questions, like,
The regrets.
the regret, all the kind of things. I'm talking that, but like times 100. And so frequently where you eventually get to a point where it's like, something's got to change. Like I can't keep complaining about how stuck I feel, how miserable I am, and then keep going down the same flipping path. It doesn't make sense, right? So that was probably the start of figuring out what my why was. Because I think in order to figure out what your why is, you have to figure out what you value. And part of what, like figuring out what your values are, looks like figuring out what you don't value, right?
Yeah.
You know, I made a decision a few years ago to stop drinking completely. And that's something I wouldn't have come to a decision to do had I not gone through that initial period of drinking all the time and then realizing maybe this doesn't serve me. You know, I wasn't born out of the womb being like, I don't want to drink alcohol and these are my values. Like, no, I had to go through it and ride that wave and collect those experiences to then arrive at a point where I was like, okay, this is a value of mine that needs to be looked at. Yeah.
It's incredible, man. It sounds like you're having a great journey. And like I said, you figured this out pretty young. So you're 18, 19 years old.
I still made a bunch of mistakes after that, though.
Okay,
My life
that's great. You learn, but the thing is that you're learning from your mistakes. You know, there's people out there making the same mistake, and they don't learn from their mistakes, and they just can't move forward because of that. It sounds like you've made mistakes and you've learned from your mistakes. I think it's a wonderful thing that you stopped drinking.
Yeah.
People make way more mistakes when they drink, and they're just out in the party world, all these different things. So what about school? Did you go to school, college? How was that for you?
Yeah, I was very fortunate because I came from a rough council estate and I applied for a school which is outside of my catchment area, secondary school. And against all the odds, I got into this school that I shouldn't have really gone to. It was in a different town. I had to get like a long bus journey to get there. I had to do a test to apply to get in. And luckily I got in. And I point to that as one of the big, like, you know, trajectory shifts in my life, because if I didn't go to that school, I would have gone to a school in my local council estate area and my life could have looked very, very different. So I went to this like posh school in a nice area with fancy kids and good education and all that. Terrible student though. Terrible student.
How so?
Because I was constantly seeking distraction. So I had this rough household, let's just call it, stressful household. And school was just a pastime. I was there just to chat to my mates, to crack jokes. I wasn't there to pay attention and study and consume knowledge, very, very unlike how I am now as an adult. So I was there just to doss about, right? And I fumbled through school. I got average grades, and then I got into college. So I went to, we have it called sixth form college in the UK. And I studied for 2 years there and then got accepted into university. I went to university, lasted a year and left. But I knew within the first few weeks I was going to leave. I just hung out there in this new city for a whole year. This is when I was drinking a lot. This is when I was going on nights out, kind of figuring out who I was, who I didn't want to be, and all those kinds of things. And then I quit uni. I quit uni after a year. It was a 3-year degree and I left after 12 months.
So it just wasn't for you? Like school?
It's funny, I have two answers for this, and I don't want to give you such a long story, but the story that I told myself was that when I arrived, the things that they was teaching at uni weren't the things that I thought I'd signed up for.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a really good way of putting like college.
Yeah.
And like just a simple.
I thought I'd signed up for a degree which was going to test me intellectually. And all it did in those first few weeks was meet the standard I already felt like I was at because I'd just done A-levels. I'd just done psychology, biology, English language, whatever at college. And uni didn't feel like a step up. It felt like the same stuff. And I was like, oh, screw this, right? That's the short answer that I used to tell myself. I think if I was to go a layer deeper, the true answer is that it was a real change in my environment and it brought me close to facing some of the things that I was uncomfortable with about myself. And instead of embracing those changes, I reverted back into the old me and I moved back to my hometown and I moved back into the old job I just left. That's the true story. Mm-hmm. And it's funny now, like 10 years later, saying that out loud, but that's the truth. I was met with an opportunity to leap forward in my life by going to university, by embracing this new city, making new friends, starting this new chapter. I lasted not even a few weeks before I decided in my head, this ain't for me. I'm going to go back to where I'm from. Even though I can say out loud right now, like where I'm from didn't serve me. I was getting high and drinking every week.
Yeah.
And I wasn't making no money and doing anything that even equates to success. I decided to go back to that because I wasn't really ready for the next step.
You weren't happy.
I was probably just scared, to be completely transparent. There was this huge unknown gray area of, do I stay at uni in this new city and see where it leads me? Or do I go back to the familiar safety of the old friends, the old job, the old habits? And it's all too attractive an opportunity when you don't know your why.
Yeah.
So I came from a place of not knowing what was important to me, what my values were, what my why was. And, you know, like I said to you before, if I gave you $1 million to save the person you love the most, you'd find a way to make it. You know, without that same why driving you, you'd probably struggle. I had that opportunity when I was at uni to leap forward and go do something exciting, but I didn't really have that why. I didn't know myself well enough yet.
Why do you think so many successful people are secretly unhappy?
Because so many successful people are secretly unhappy because they're chasing somebody else's version of success, not their own. And at no point in their journey did they make a decision to decide and then design what success looked like to them and then actively try and make that happen. Because we are designed to want to fit in. We are designed to chase what other people value. That's like our default. It's like, I don't know what I want. Well, what does everybody else want? I'll just want that then. Right?
Yeah.
And there's this weird inflection point, either when you've achieved everything you ever thought you wanted and realize it's not enough, or you have some near-death experience where you realize that you're going to die one day, and then you step back and think, okay, well, what do I actually want? I think a lot of people are trapped by their own quote-unquote success because they haven't encountered one or both of those two experiences yet. One of the best things you can do if you want to become successful is ask yourself, what would make me feel successful? Most of us don't do that. We just go to the default path of, I'm going to get a degree, then I'm going to get a car, then I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have kids, then I'm going to pay the mortgage off, then I'm going to retire my parents, and then I'm going to be in my elderly age, I'm going to die. That might be someone's version of success. And if they've decided that's what success means to them, good for them. But that's not most people's version of success.
Okay, so what does success mean to you?
That's a great question. And we spoke about this before on the pod before we started recording. One of the visions I have for my life is being an old, elderly, 80-year-old plus man, still being physically able to run marathons and to be able to play and have fun and not be restricted by my age with my kids and grandkids. That's kind of unique to me. Other people might share that vision. For me, that's like a personal one. I saw my mum and my dad both suffer with health issues when I was young. My mum has an illness called fibromyalgia and several other conditions which really restricts her mobility. And I very much experienced that as a kid. And as a kid who just wanted love and affection, that struggled to get it because of her illness, that scarred me. And then I watched my dad at age 19, he had cancer. And then that really struck a chord with me, as if to say, look, if you don't prioritize your health, it could be taken from you at any moment. And so I almost have this byproduct vision for my own life, which is like, health will never hold me back, you know? And I want to be able to give that as a gift to my kids and my grandkids one day, because I know that a present parent and a present grandparent, a present anybody, just makes the impact on that young person so much more powerful, so much more beneficial. So one version of success for me is being able to give that gift for as long as I possibly can. And that starts with me just prioritizing my health, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's a great answer right there. Health, I think it's one of the best things you could prioritize.
Yeah. And honestly, if you asked me that question 5 years ago, I'd have said something very differently. 5 years before that, probably something very different to that. I feel like the older I'm getting, the more stable my ideas of success are becoming.
The
like
wiser you're getting.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what I want. My ideas are very, very much more my own versus just what I heard somebody say or what I think sounds cool, or what makes me sound like a nice person and all that bullshit. But I very much used to think that success looked like lots of money, driving a nice car, having a nice house, looking good on social media. Your actions didn't have to align with your words. You know, like all of that stuff was like, I was that before, you know, not that long ago. Like we're talking a handful of years ago. But I think the older I'm getting, the clearer I'm getting on what I think is important to me. And oddly enough, the clearer you get on those things, the less you care about other people's opinions, and the less you care about what other people think is a success. And also the more capacity for your own happiness you build, because you're living more in alignment with what you actually care about. Like when all is said and done, people on their deathbed, their biggest regret is almost always, I didn't do as much of the things I wanted to do as I did. You know, like I wish I just went and did that thing. I wish I started that thing. It's all the things they didn't do, right? And I think if we can get really clear on like what's important to us, what would we love to make happen if nothing was stopping us, right? And then just make your life about doing that. Yeah. Like, and then if something happened to me tomorrow, I can say with conviction, like I'm trying to do my best to live as much in alignment as I possibly can. And that's all we can do.
Yeah.
You know?
What would you tell a young person who's struggling right now to get disciplined to turn their lives around?
What would I say to a young person who's struggling to get disciplined to turn their life around?
Because you were there not too long ago, like you just said. You were struggling with drugs or alcohol or whatever the case may be, right? What would you tell someone that's going through that right now to be able to get their life together and get disciplined to be able to just get better as a person?
Yeah. Great question. First thing that comes to mind is I think you have to, as cliche as this sounds, you have to do things which bring you joy on a regular basis. I had a conversation with somebody quite recently, and he was stuck in a bit of a rut. And if you've been stuck in a rut before, you'll know that you get into this downward spiral where you start to just attract more evidence as to why you should stay in a rut rather than reasons to get out of the rut. And this friend of mine was in this predicament and he asked for some advice, and we spoke for about 10 or 15 minutes and we got to the conclusion that actually he's not doing anything on a regular basis which just brings him joy. And joy is such an overlooked thing, and it shouldn't be, because when you do things which bring you joy, and I'm not talking about distraction, I'm not talking about doom scrolling, I'm not talking about video games generally, although it can. I'm talking about things which genuinely make you feel like a kid again, where time stops. That's joy. If you can do more of those things, you will start to feel more optimistic. You'll start to feel more enthusiastic. You'll start to see life as glass half full rather than half empty. And when you're operating from that place, when you're trying to build new habits, build discipline, you're going to have so much more capacity to move and take action. The truth is about building discipline is that it's the hardest at the start. And when you're building discipline, your actions compound over time, right? The more reps you put in, the more those reps compound, and the discipline muscle starts to get a bit easier over time. When you're at zero and you've taken zero action yet, that's very hard to do. So instead of thinking, how can I become super disciplined? Think about how can I get started? And doing things which bring you joy is one of the best ways to get started. I'll use the gym as an example. A lot of people think, I want to get in great shape, but I really struggle with discipline. And what they're failing to realize is they're trying to do workouts that they absolutely hate in order to build their discipline. But if I asked you to do a workout you really enjoy, maybe it's volleyball, maybe it's tennis, maybe it's a Pilates class, maybe it's lacrosse or badminton, and it doesn't feel like you're working out, but you are working out, it is exercise. And I asked you to build discipline in the thing you find joy in, sooner or later you've built that discipline muscle, and you did it without even really trying that hard.
Yeah.
And discipline transfers into other areas of your life. As you'll know as an entrepreneur, like all you've got to do is build evidence that you can do something. your confidence builds, and then the confidence leaks into other parts of your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you can go to badminton, let's just say, for a year, and you've done, 50 sessions of badminton, and you've done hundreds of hours of cardio, and it all felt like fun, you get to then say, oh, I've done like hundreds of hours of this. How impressive, how cool. I guess I'm pretty disciplined at that. And you can transfer that into other parts of your life because you can use that as evidence that you can do things that are pretty hard, right? So for a young person who's trying to get started on building more discipline, stop looking at what already disciplined people are doing. Look at what you can do to get started. That is what I would probably say.
Do you think some people are just addicted to chaos, like without realizing it?
In what way?
Like people are just, with habits that they have, for example, like drinking and just like chaos in their life. And they just kind of like addicted to that type of lifestyle when they don't even realize that that there is a way out, that there is a better life. There is, light at the end of the tunnel. I feel like some people just don't realize that they're in that bubble. You know what I mean?
That's so true. That's so true. Like, look, human beings were addicted to familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
We're addicted to predictability. It gives us a sense of safety. Safety is our ultimate anchor. We want to feel safe. If we're not safe, we might die, and death is the ultimate, like, we don't want to die, right? And so we always latch onto things which feel familiar because familiarity makes us feel safe. Whether those things which feel familiar are good for us or bad for us don't matter on a psychological level from the safety perspective. So if we've always done a thing, we're going to continue to keep doing that thing just because it's what feels familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Like I heard this quote, I don't know who came up with it, but I absolutely love it. And it's something along the lines of human beings, we'll always pick certain misery over uncertain potential. Because certain misery, we know it, we understand it. We understand the territory. We understand, okay, this makes me feel like this makes me act like that. And there's a certain level of predictability that makes us feel safe. And that's how we get stuck in toxic patterns. And we'll pick that over uncertain potential, even if it's potentially absolutely amazing and life-changing. We'll pick the certain misery every day of the week. And so one of the hardest things, but the most important things we have to do is step one, acknowledge that. That's part of being a human. We're all wired the same. We all have this bias and this tendency. Then step two is, does that tendency align with the life I'm trying to build? If it doesn't, then we can make a conscious choice to move right rather than stay left. That is a real tough thing to do, but it's one of the absolutely most important things you have to do.
Yeah. How important do you think your environment that you're in is to your life? And how fast do you think someone can change that environment to be able to better their life?
Changing your environment is one of the biggest hacks for long-term behavior change. And I'm going to say that with experience and with evidence, because I'll say, look, when I stopped drinking, here's an example. By the way, I wasn't an alcoholic, but I absolutely used alcohol as a way to avoid certain feelings, as a way to pretend like I was social when actually I was pretty unsocial, as a way to play a character so that I felt comfortable, surface level comfortable, not truly comfortable. And so alcohol solved a problem for me. Alcohol was a solution to a problem that I had in my life. And so when I cut it out, the solution was gone. My life got a bit harder because I didn't have the solution anymore, which was drink.
You have to deal with reality.
Alcohol helped me to not feel things. When I removed alcohol, I had to feel things, which was hard, right? So I went from having a solution to then not having it anymore. One of the best things about changing your environment is you get to remove all of the triggers and maybe situational variables, let's call them, that that bring about those old patterns and those old behaviors. So when I stopped drinking, we just moved to Dubai, actually. We just moved to Dubai, me and Becky, only a couple of months. And I'd been thinking about quitting drinking for a few months before that. I'd had the conversation with myself. I'd thought, does it really serve me? How do I feel when I drink? I tend to feel quite anxious, even if I don't drink much. Even just one drink, the next day I'm thinking about it all day. It can ruin my sleep, ruin my performance, all those typical health things. But on a subconscious level and like on a more deeper level, I just felt like it wasn't aligned with who I'm trying to become spiritually. And so I made a decision to stop drinking, not forever, just for a bit. and just see how I feel. It's been 3.5 years. But I made that decision, and I know for a fact if I tried to make that same decision whilst living in the same city I grew up in with all my drinking pals, with all the nightclubs I used to go to, all those same triggers, I would have found quitting drinking extremely hard. Not because I'm a bad person, but because the environment is everything. What really happened is I made that choice living in a city where alcohol is not really that prominent. Dubai, like you can't even buy alcohol in most of the in any of the supermarkets.
But you can buy it though.
You can buy it. You can go get it. You can have it in certain restaurants, but it's not readily available everywhere. Binge drinking culture like we have in the UK doesn't exist in Dubai.
I mean, how we have here in the
You
US,
have it here in
it's
the US.
crazy.
You know,
Binge drinking is at all-time highs, right? Well, actually, probably not all-time highs, but it's a big thing.
It's
people go out
wild.
and drink every weekend.
you know, I always say this. It's a bit of a joke, but all good jokes have some truth to them. The UK is one of the only places in the world where a man can take his family to the pub, not order a pint, and someone will ask what's wrong with him. Like someone will say, "You all right?" Because he's not ordered a drink, right? Like that's the UK drinking mentality in a nutshell. It's almost frowned upon.
Not
right?
to drink.
Not to like if you take your family to the pub for Sunday dinner or whatever, and you don't order a pint of beer, someone's gonna say, "Hey, is everything all right?"
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, that's kind of how it is here too, though.
Yeah.
Let's say you're out with some friends and then you're not drinking. People kind of look at you a certain way. Maybe not judge you, but it's kind of like weird
But
when
it's
someone's
not the
not
norm.
drinking.
It's not the norm, right?
no.
So when I made that switch of not drinking, I really benefited from not having those environmental factors. I get to be the best version of myself in Dubai. I get to be consistent with the gym. I can do all these things anywhere in the world, by the way. But for someone who came from a drinking background to not drinking, Dubai helped me a lot because I didn't have any of those environmental factors like, twisting my arm or, pulling me back in, let's just say. It was like a clean slate. I didn't have those drinking buddies, and that helped me massively. I know that I would have found it a lot harder had I been in the UK at the time.
Yeah. How do you handle burnout when that comes to you? When, you're kind of just pushing, you're grinding. Let's say you're at the gym or you're just working on your business. And then, the inevitable comes. You get burnt out. How do you handle that?
Can you define burnout for me a bit more?
Burnout, like, let's say at the gym, for example, right? You're working out and then it just kind of gets to a point where you're just kind of tired. Your body's tired. It's burned out from going too much, too hard, and then it needs to rest, right? So you need to recover from that workout. But let's put that into, let's say, a life when you're working on your business, and then you just kind of get tired of working too hard. And like, how do you handle that when there's too many things happening at once in your life?
Great question. The reason why I ask how do you define burnout is because I think there's a lot of different definitions of the word burnout. I think there are things that I do to refill my cup when I'm feeling low on energy, but I wouldn't class that as burnout.
Okay.
I think you can just be tired and stressed and all those things and that not necessarily be burnout. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not sure if I've ever experienced true burnout. And
It's because you're so young.
possibly I might be just very privileged. Maybe I've not worked hard enough and all these, hustle gurus will tell me off. Here's what I would say is that I've worked with a lot of people as a fitness coach, as a personal trainer, as a mental health and exercise coach in my past, and also now with Rewhyrd. Something we like to instill with all of our clients, with all of our guests, we have this framework where it's kind of like the 4 M's, right? We have 4 things that if you do every single day, you're going to have a good day no matter what. And the first one is, can you do something for your mind? That can be journaling, it can be reading, it can be having a conversation, something that's good for your mind and your mental health. Second thing is, can you move? Can you do something that moves your body physically, right? It's all good and well like sitting and meditating, but if you don't move your body, you're not moving it, you're not moving those emotions out of your system. The third thing is, are you doing something which matters? Are you doing something which matters to you? And this is unique to you. This is not what matters to somebody else. This is personal to you. If you're doing things which actually matter to you, then you're more likely to have a good day. And the fourth thing is are you doing it with mates or are you doing it with community, right? If you're doing it with people around you, share your beliefs, share your vision, share your values, I think if you're doing those 4 things every single day, it's pretty hard to feel burnout. I know how it feels to be resentful because I feel like I'm working really hard on things which aren't worth it. I think that is a path that ends up at burnout.
So how do you
I also
prioritize things then?
mm,
If you have a lot of things you're working on at the same time, like how do you figure out what things you should be working on?
in the short term, I mean, look, there's always things that you just have to do that you don't like
Right.
to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bookkeeping, taxes, like general life admin, invoices, like, that stuff isn't supposed to give you fulfillment and purpose, right? I'd be lying if I sat here and said it does. It doesn't. There are also things that you absolutely should prioritize just because they make you feel good, right? And just because they don't necessarily make you loads of profit or move the needle massively in any kind of obvious, measurable way. Like I said before, if it brings you joy or peace or makes you feel like the best version of yourself, you need to make that a priority. I think if you're very clear on the direction you're traveling in, the priorities should sort of reveal themselves to you. We always know within like pretty good accuracy what it is we're avoiding and what it is we should be doing, right?
Yeah.
Usually if we start the day with the big, have you ever heard the phrase, maybe it's a British phrase, I don't know. It's something like eat frogs first or something like that. It's like do the hardest thing first, like basically. If you
I don't
wake
think
up,
I've heard that phrase before.
yeah, do the maybe it's not
Eat
even,
frogs first.
maybe it's not even a real phrase. I'm pretty sure it's like eat frogs or whatever. I don't know. But I think your question speaks to how do you make sure you're being truly productive, not busy.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're kind of asking me, right? And
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
It's impossible to be truly productive until you know what you're optimizing for. Like, what is the actual goal? Is the goal to feel busy? Is the goal to complete a to-do list? Is the goal to make X number of pounds? Is the goal to feel fulfilled? Is the goal to have impact? Only when you have that North Star can you truly say, okay, here's how I'm going to reverse engineer that. And as long as I'm sticking to that path that I've reverse engineered, I'm going to be productive, right? I've been here before and I still have these days to this present day where I'm unclear on the direction I'm traveling in. And so you default into meaningless busyness. And then you end the day and it's like, what did I do today? Well, I sent a few emails and, then I was like scrolling Instagram and then I had lunch and then I went for a walk and God, is that all I've done today? Oh my gosh. And really, you just lacked that North Star. We also know how it feels to be excited to get out of bed because we have that thing that we can't wait to sink our teeth into because we're like actually excited to get it finished. That's what I'm talking about with the North Star. Like you need to have some kind of clarity over the direction you're traveling in, both long-term and day-to-day. This is something that I've only learned relatively recently. And Becky helps me massively with this. It protects us because we want to avoid uncomfortable feelings. So we often, without realizing it, self-sabotage by not setting clear priorities because it means we get to remain comfortable in the familiarity of being busy but not productive, and we don't have to grow. Growth is amazing, but it comes at a cost, growing pains. And we often want the prize without the pain. And if you set clear priorities, both short-term and long-term, that's you acknowledging there's going to be pain, but it's because I want the growth. And I think when you can operate from that place, you tend to avoid those like busy but not productive, stressed but doesn't feel like it's worthwhile stress emotions. And again, like I'm not sitting here as a guru. I'm sitting here because I fully am guilty of this in the past and still to this present day. It's our default because our default wants to remain familiar, not go into the unfamiliar, right?
So how do you build structure then when you're trying to prioritize all these things? Do you, I don't know, maybe write things down on a notepad? Do you have something on your computer or your phone where you kind of have maybe a structure of your day, your week, your month? You think that's important to do?
Yeah, so important. So important. I think, firstly, what I'll say is I think it's crucially important you have empty space in your calendar. I'm very anti having every minute of your day structured and planned out. I don't want to be a slave to my calendar because by default, if you're a slave to your calendar, you're probably a slave to other people's priorities and other people's demands also.
Very
There's
true.
no time in there for you. You can't pour from an empty cup. You've got to make sure your cup is full first. So for me, that looks like, as cliche as it sounds, the more steps I get in a day, generally the better I feel about myself. 10,000 is my average, 12,000 maybe. Generally, I like to get a workout in of some description, even if it's just like a walk up a mountain or a hike type thing, a trail, or I lift weights in the gym. I personally make sure that those kinds of things are like non-negotiable. And then I know that I'm operating from the highest possible place of potential. Then I can be the most effective when I show up on my laptop, when I show up for clients, when I show up on retreats. If I don't do those things, I'm operating at like 30%, and I'm operating from a place of resentment, and I'm pissed off, and I'm like low key, I just want to have a day off, and those kind of places, right? So in terms of how do I structure my week and how do I structure my day, what helps me a lot is going to bed the night before knowing what the priority is the next day. Again, sometimes it still happens where I don't do that.
Right.
And my next day is unequivocally, it's always worse, right? You wake up and it's like you try and create a to-do list in the morning based off, you're still half asleep, you haven't had a coffee yet, and you've already opened email and Instagram, and you've all these conflicting opinions and people wanting your attention, and you're trying to make a to-do list in that headspace. It's never going to be effective, at least for me. What's really effective is after a whole day of life, I have a bit of time for myself at the end of the day where I firstly just like process and reflect on what the hell just happened in the last 24 hours. And then I think, right, how would I want tomorrow to go? Ideally, what, like in the space and peace and comfort of my own mind and then my own home, without anyone messaging me or emailing me because it's like 9 or 10 p.m., I can then get clear on what needs to happen tomorrow for tomorrow to feel like a success. What needs to happen tomorrow for me to feel proud of myself? What are the 3 most likely things to get in the way of those things happening? Like those kind of questions I answer much more effectively before I go to bed rather than when the day's already started. And like there's things going off and emails and blah, 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 blah. From that place, creating a structure is usually pretty simple. One thing I've been very guilty of in the past, and again, still do to this day sometimes, is I overestimate how much I can do in a day. And so I create a to-do list, which is really like 3 days of work. I get 30% of it done, and I feel bad about myself because I didn't complete my to-do list. When truthfully, if you just did one needle moving activity every day for 365 days, your life will transform.
Yeah.
Your life will transform. But instead of doing one needle mover every single day, we do 8% of 13 different needle movers that never get completed. Because by the time you get to 50% done on something, it's lost its importance to you and a new problem's arisen, and then you start sinking your teeth into something else, and you go a whole year having felt like I didn't really accomplish much.
Yeah.
I read this incredible book by, I've forgotten the author's name. Greg McCowan. The book is called Essentialism. And I'll save you the time of reading the book by giving you one key teaching in the book. Although I do recommend the book. But the key takeaway, and I read this book about 8 years ago and it stuck with me this whole time. The key takeaway from this book is that as humans, we have a limited amount of energy to spend every single day. We think we have unlimited, and we think we can spend as much as possible within the time frame that we have. But the truth is we have limited energy every day to spend. And we would get so much more done if we focused all of our energy on completing one task at a time versus trying to split and divide our energy into lots of different directions and we get nothing done, right? Similar to bring it back to fitness, because I know you're into your fitness as well. People used to ask me all the time, oh, like I just want to I want to bulk up and get bigger, but I want to stay lean and shredded at the same time. And I think, right, okay, that is technically possible, but if you want to be optimal, save the most amount of time, and get to where you actually want to get to as quickly as possible, you'd be better off bulking and then cutting. You'd be better off and get to your dream body much faster than trying to do this like all at once thing where you stay skinny fat and you stay weak, but then you have high carb days and high protein days and you think, oh God, I'm too fat. And then you cut your calories right down to 0, and then you do loads of cardio, then you cut cardio, you do this yo-yo thing, and 12 months later, your body looks the exact same because you never really went in one direction. It's much better to spend all your energy coins on one thing, get the result, and then move on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. If you do that for a year, 3 years, 5 years, you've got loads of things for your energy coins versus just like it's split off in loads of directions and you never got anything back.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. Makes sense. You know, focus your energy on one thing. That's a great example, the health and fitness example, where do one thing first, then follow the next thing. It's a great example, and that's literally just how you kind of have to do it, how you have to treat it.
And it is so hard to do in practice
It really is.
because everything is so tempting.
Yeah, man, it's really hard. Cause that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to cut for the summer, and I've been bulking for the past year.
Good for you. Good for you.
I've been, just kind of, So I'm on a path right now, just kind of like lean down a little bit more. I used to be lean back in my late 20s, so I'm trying to get back to it now in my later 30s now. So I'm trying to get back into that leanness. It's a little harder now, but it's not impossible. Let's talk about travel and your retreats.
Yes.
Let's get into that, because it's basically kind of what you do, what your company does, right? What do you think people are actually searching for when they're traveling to different locations?
When people are just traveling for their holidays and stuff?
When they go to, like, let's say I'm just traveling to Dubai or whatever, another place where I've never been. You think they're just searching for just happiness or just an adventure, or you think there's something deeper there that when people travel to a place they've never been to?
Me personally, I love to travel because it evokes something really transcendental in me. I feel like there is this innate explorer in me that gets a sense of fulfillment and curiosity and pride. And like I'm living out my human capacities when I'm exploring somewhere new. And look, before anyone laughs at me, getting on a plane to Dubai or getting on a cruise to Hawaii or whatever, that's not what our ancestors did back in the day, right? But I'm saying I think it evokes that part of me, that human part of me, that relishes seeing new things, seeing novel places, seeing like other cultures, other cuisines, interacting with different languages, hearing like different noises in the streets and stuff. I get a real sense of, I don't even know if fulfillment's the right word, a sense of feeling like I'm living out my true essence when I'm having those experiences. And I say that because I think the opposite is true when I don't travel for a long time. Even if I'm in a place where I really adore and I think is incredible, if I'm there for too long, I start to get a sense of like the whole world is out there and I'm just stuck in the same spot. There's so much world to go and see. Yeah. Like so much, like inconceivable amount of world to see that we'll never be able to see it all. And yet here I am just like in the same four walls, like on the computer, tapping the same keys, like, trying to see my bank balance increase on a digital screen that doesn't really matter. Like, what? Like we're in LA, right? We have the Runyon Canyon, not far from here. It's a very simple, like 20, 30-minute hike, beginner level walk. But the payoff is huge because the view is incredible. Like LA is kind of built on this like slope, and the canyon starts at the top of the slope. So you haven't got to climb very far to look down at the whole city. Like the view is incredible. And me and my friend, we went the other day, and I also went with Becky not long after. But when I went with my friend for the first time, there was this incredible sunset. Like the sunsets here in LA, like it is really the one part of LA that is like you think it is when you see it in movies and in pictures and online and Pinterest. The sunsets in LA are absolutely incredible. And we went for this hike. We watched the sunset, and we were just sat there in complete awe. Like that is the word that comes to mind, awe. Like, and we're looking at the sky, the same sky we look at every single day, but it's all these incredible colors and shades of purple and pink and orange and whatever else. And we're watching the sunset in the distance to the right-hand side. And I think when people are traveling, I think they're searching for a slice of that, a slice of awe, a slice of wonder, a slice of remembering what's out there, because we get so addicted to the distractions that stop us from experiencing that on a regular basis. We have the capacity and the function and like the antenna to tune into that. It makes us feel otherworldly. We feel like, even if it's momentarily, we feel like gods. As cringy and cliche as that sounds, like when you see an incredible sunset, or you travel to somewhere serene, or there's an amazing waterfall in the jungle, or you get off the plane, you can smell the humidity is different to where you're from. you feel like something in you awakens. It's like, oh, whoa, it's something like some, you know, do you know what I'm getting at
Yeah,
here? Like
yeah.
there's something in you that already exists that's desperate to be revealed. And I think travel helps people to reveal that. At least that's what it does for me. Some people travel to escape work stress.
Yeah.
Some people travel because they can't stand their partner and they need an excuse to get away, so they go on a golf trip or whatever, right? Like some people travel for different reasons. But I think if you peel back enough layers, I think we're all searching for what I just described. It's like the remembering of what we're capable of, remembering of what's truly important to us, and just tapping into that on a more regular basis. And I think travel really helps us to do that.
So your retreats from Rewhyrd, how does someone find out more about this? What if someone wants to go to one of these retreats?
So you can find us on social media. We're on Instagram, just at Rewhyrd, REWHYRD. So then the word Y, and then RD. Also, my personal Instagram, I shout about this all the time, and also Becky's. I'm sure you'll have this linked somewhere. And also rewhyrdworld.com is our website. But we shout about this stuff all the time. Like I said at the start of this conversation, Rewhyrd really is an extension of my personal values and philosophy. I've tried and tested many different businesses, actually, many different offers we haven't really spoken about today, which is so fine. And likewise with Becky, like we've tried a bunch of different things, and Rewhyrd is the thing which feels more aligned than ever. It's like all of the things I care about, I'm passionate about, I truly believe in, that I see benefit our guests so much. Like some of the people who leave our retreats, they say things that make me super proud and super relieved, super grateful. You know, people saying things like, I found a new level of belief in myself I didn't know existed. I feel so much more confident now. I didn't have to think about anything for a week. And for them, that's a huge win because they're constantly like, you know, juggling and spinning plates and micromanaging and dealing with work stress. And for them to just have a week where they don't sit and think about stress, think about their problems, help them zoom out and go back to those same problems with a clearer mentality to deal with them more effectively. That's a life-changing experience for somebody. You know, some people it's healing their relationships. Some people it's healing their relationship with themselves. You know, so to have that kind of impact, that is rewarding as fuck.
And how does it work? Someone goes into the website, they can sign up for one of the retreats. And are you guys staying in Airbnb, or how does that work?
Yeah, so good question. So first of all, we don't just have anybody come on the retreat. So it's an application process. We have limited spaces. If we just let anybody come, it could change the vibe. We want a certain type of character, certain type of personality, let's just say, someone who is growth-minded, someone who is prepared to have open conversations, someone who appreciates the things that we've spoken about today, like finding more joy, peace, freedom. We don't want people with closed mindsets and victim mentalities. We want people who are ready to step into that next chapter. And so there's an application process. So we speak to everybody, me and Becky, before they even can click pay to make sure it's a good fit.
Yeah.
Not just for us, but also for them. You know, there are a bunch of retreat companies out there which might be more suitable for them. And so go do them if it's more of a fit for you. You know, genuinely. We only have between 10 and 15 people come on our retreats.
Okay.
We have between us hundreds of thousands of people who can potentially get involved. So we're very particular about who comes. And then your second question was the venue. Like, how do we... Okay, so we've tried different settings depending on the location. So, for example, the last retreat we hosted in Egypt, in El Guna, Egypt, we stayed at an incredible resort with the most incredible facilities. It's actually a golf resort. So there was like golf courses in the resort, separated by this huge lagoon in the middle. It was so beautiful, so picturesque, really calming, loads of nature. Our next retreat is in Bali, and we've got this insane luxury villa. I can't show you any. I've got photos on my phone. I'll show you after. It's actually nuts. Like we thought Egypt was incredible, and before that, Dubai, Thailand, incredible. Like we've raised the bar to a level which gets me so excited. I am buzzing. We've got this incredible villa. The idea is with Rewhyrd is your home life deserves the best of you, not the rest of you. Like that's our motto. That's our slogan. Like your home life deserves the best of you, not the rest of you. And so we create a space with Rewhyrd, be it in Bali, be it in Egypt, be it in Thailand, be it anywhere else on the planet. We create a space for you to come as you are, but leave as your best, so that you can go back to your home life being the best version of yourself, not just the bits and bobs you got left after you poured all of your energy into work,
Is this
all of your energy into the things which cause you stress.
Yeah. So is this like a vacation or more of like a just like a reset?
It's I would say it's both, right? It's an immersive retreat. So we do 5 nights, 6 days.
Okay. So it's like a week almost.
Yeah, almost a week, 5 nights,
Mm-hmm.
6 days. And our guests come and they don't have to worry about a thing for the entire time. We
Nice.
handle the whole itinerary. We handle all of the food,
And there's activities that.
excursions, experiences, a lot of mindset, daily exercise, the things I spoke about earlier, something for your mind, some way to move your body, something that matters to you, and doing it with your mates. They leave with those experiences that they can't get for themselves. Truthfully, like it's very hard to
Like,
create those situations.
They
for
can
yourself.
go to that location, but they just won't be able to experience that in that retreat.
Bro, I know a bunch of overweight people who know they should go to the gym and eat healthy.
Mm.
Doing it's hard,
Yeah.
right? And this is why personal trainers and online fitness coaches exist, because they help you do the things you know you should do but struggle to take action on, right? Rewired, we help people to reset, zoom out, get clear on what matters to them so that they can live their best life as, the best life they can possibly live. A lot of the stuff is, I knew I should have been doing this a long time ago, but I just never found the time. I knew that I always loved getting on a plane and, meeting strangers in another country, but I never made it a priority because I was always working. Whatever the reason is, our guests are smart enough to know that they could do it. But sometimes having somebody help you do what you know you need to do is the best plan, the best strategy. And every single person we've had so far has been super grateful for it.
Yeah. Is there a moment in one of these retreats that you've seen a significant change in a person's life from going to the retreat?
Oh my God, the retreats are transformational, genuinely. And not just because we get them to do excursions or because they make memories. Like I say, two things which spring to mind, like your home life deserves the best of you, not the rest of you. And also come as you are, leave as your best. A lot of people arrive on the retreat, truthfully, they don't know what to expect. Maybe they're nervous, they're curious, they've never been to this part of the world before, they're about to meet strangers, and all these things, all of that is fine. We don't expect you to be super self-aware and really insightful and really smart and intelligent and be super successful. That's not why you come. You could just come as you are. But what we help people to do is leave as their best. And so what that looks like is they know how to prioritize themselves so that they can give the most to the people that matter to them. And so that when they go home, their home life gets the best of them, not just the other parts of their life, like their work or whatever else it might be.
Do you have the same people coming back, or is it always different people?
We've mixture. We've had some people come back who have done multiple retreats, and then some people, a lot of the time it's new people. But yeah, we've had people come on multiple retreats. I can think of a handful of people already that come to mind who come again and again and again, because it's not just a one-time thing necessarily. Like you don't go to the gym for a year and then you haven't got to go in for your whole life. Even if you get in shape in a year, like if you don't top up those skills, top up those experiences, what are we going to do? We're going to default back into the familiar. So a lot of Rewhyrd, and again, it's in the name, like we're not just giving you some like surface level experiences to take photos for Instagram. We're helping you rewire and essentially change the way that you live your life forever, right? And if that means coming on 2, 3, 4 retreats, so be it. I can't think of a better. I'm just saying, I'm just going to big ourselves up. I can't think of a better way to spend money on a trip. If you're going to book a trip and go somewhere, like I used to book trips, the piss up holidays with my mates. We go to Magaluf or Ibiza or whatever. Don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place for that in your younger, late teens, early 20s, whatever. But would I spend that same money on that same kind of trip now? No, you're spending thousands of pounds to most likely regret some of the money you spend, most likely come away unhealthier than when you got there, and most likely come back feeling like you need another holiday. Mm-hmm. That's kind of that's kind of typically
people
how
go on a vacation and basically saying, "Man, I need a vacation from my vacation."
How many times have we heard that,
Yes.
right? And so Rewhyrd exists to combat that mentality.
So is there alcohol involved? No alcohol.
Alcohol free.
So people can't really go buy alcohol there on their own.
It's not.
Can someone go to the retreat and do their own thing?
No, we don't allow it.
No,
it's
don't allow
completely. It's completely immersive, right? It's like you're coming with us. We need you to trust us that we have your best intentions at heart.
Yeah.
And so by the end of the retreat, you're going to be so grateful that you put your trust and faith in us. One of those things you've got to trust us with is no alcohol. And again, this comes from personal experience. I'm someone who used to drink a lot to avoid feeling certain feelings. Now I don't drink and I face those feelings head on. Sometimes that's harder. Don't get it twisted. Sometimes that's difficult. But when you remove alcohol, you remove the block that's getting in the way of you processing what needs to be processed. And the best version of yourself is lying on the other side of those processed emotions. So if you come all the way to Bali or Egypt looking for transformation, but then you put the block in the way to stop you from transforming, you're going to be mad at us for not getting you the thing you came for, which was change, right? You came here for a better life. You came here to change the way that you see the world. You came here to level up. But we're going to enable you to keep that block in place with alcohol. No. Like, I know firsthand that changed my life, getting rid of that. I know full well it's going to help you change yours.
Yeah. Do you have a team that helps you with this? Is it maybe just you and Becky, or do you have other people help you?
Me and Becky, almost all entirely me and Becky. The previous retreat, we had a couple of people helping us, organizers and stuff like that. But for the most part, it is just me and Becky. We do it ourselves.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we're almost done here.
Yeah.
One last topic I want to talk to you about is your modeling career. You're also a model.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So are you trying to book some gigs out here in LA while you're here, or what's your purpose of being in LA?
A funny story. I don't want to ramble on. I know we're running short on time. I got into modeling when I was around 18, 19 years old. And I took a leap of faith. I quit my bar job. I moved from where I was living up north to London to become a full-time model without any real guarantees. Luckily, I made it work and I became a full-time model. And I was working all these cool jobs. I didn't have to do anything else. I was just modeling, making good money, living in London. This kid from a council estate in Hull, living this crazy lifestyle. It was very much a dream. And then that dream reached its... then that dream got so big and I went on a huge national television show in the UK, a dating show called Love Island.
You were in Love Island?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. This is the first time I hear about this.
Oh, wow. I'm relieved.
Wait, with this, I feel like how much time do we have now? Wait a minute. When were you on Love Island? This just opened a whole can of worms right now.
Yeah, man. So I was on Love Island when I was 21.
I love how you just said it like just like a UK show. Like it's like not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big deal back then.
It's still a big deal. Love Island's crazy, man.
Yeah, so I did that and I was 21. I was young, naive, ignorant, didn't know myself. I thought, fuck it, what's the worst that could happen? I'd go on that TV show and my life changed overnight. I gained a bunch of followers. I gained a bunch of like public awareness, whatever you want to call it. And but what that meant for my modeling career, which I didn't anticipate at all, was that all of the clients I was modeling for dropped me. They didn't see me as a model anymore. They saw me as a public influencer type.
Celebrity
Z-list
type
celebrity.
of...
Right,
But
exactly.
why would they drop you then if...
Because, good question, because a lot of the brands, or all of the brands I modeled for, didn't want to be affiliated with somebody from Love Island. It just didn't match their brand, right? So I was modeling for brands like Harvey Nichols, Selfridges, off the top of my head, I can't think of any more. Ted Baker, these kind of companies, a bit more, I don't want to say prestigious, but there are the kind of brands which associate with Love Island and the kind of brands which have no affiliation. And I just very much modeled for the ones that didn't. And when I came off of that show, I remember very clearly, like one brand I worked with at the time, Gymshark, they didn't work with reality TV people at the time. And they was like one of my favorite clients. I loved working with them, and I remember like...
Gymshark dropped you?
Yeah,
after that show?
Yeah, man.
Man.
But no, there's no hard feelings.
Yeah.
I completely understand. I didn't anticipate this at all. And so I get this email from Gymshark saying, like, we love working with Danny. He's always been so great, but for the reasons, that we have to explain.
They don't affiliate with...
We don't affiliate with Love Island reality TV stars. And so if he came back to model for us and he was on our website as a model, it would look like he's an ambassador or something. The dynamic changed.
Yeah.
And so I had to completely rethink what I was going to do with my life. Even though I was already living a dream, right? So it changed my life in so many positive ways, but so many negative ways and confusing ways and ways I didn't really predict. And so I went on this journey where I went into personal training. I went into online fitness coaching. I tried all these other different things to do with my life. And then we got to a point about a year ago, less than a year ago, 6 months ago, where we were speaking about modeling, me and Becky. And she actually convinced me. She said, you should start modeling again because you can. And it's been so many years.
Yeah.
And if you set yourself a challenge of becoming a model again, to see if you've still got it, to see if you can still do it, you should just document the whole thing. And whatever happens, happens. At the very least, you'll have tried your best. Becoming a model means you living within your values. You've got to stay healthy. You've got to stay active. You've got to be, enthusiastic, optimistic. You've got to look after your skin and all these kind of things. Like all of these things which make up a successful model also make me feel like a success personally. Like they align a lot with my values. And so worst case scenario, nothing comes of it, but I just be the best version of myself anyway.
You're looking great, in shape.
Yeah, exactly.
You're ready to be in front of the camera anytime.
And second win is that it forces me to show up every day, be consistent, and document the journey, which was another thing I struggled with before with social media. I struggled with feeling like I had to be perfect every day, and I'd go missing online for a few weeks, and I'd show up again with a random post and all that kind of stuff. Now I post the most crazy, unedited, ratchet, just like very
just raw stuff.
Just raw. And it's really helped me overcome that perfectionism, what do people think about me mentality that I really suffered with before. So anyway, this is 6 months ago. I started this journey after 3 months of applying to agencies, going to the gym, losing weight. I actually had to lose a lot of weight. I was quite big before.
You were not quite big.
You
showed me a photo the other day.
I was bigger. I've lost around 10 kilos though. It's not nothing.
10 kilos is what?
It's
in
like
pounds?
22 pounds.
That's okay. That's a good amount. That's a
good amount, right?
Yeah. But you come on.
No, I wasn't unhappy with my body then.
Sure.
Just for the modeling industry, I was far too big.
Right.
Just objectively.
Yeah.
And so I had to lose a lot of weight. I had to apply to agencies. I had to face this question mark of whether brands would even want to work with me or not. And it wasn't until about 70 or 80 days in to me posting every day, like no success. I'm going to the gym, I'm doing the things, but I'm not really getting the result. And I got this agent reach out to me on Instagram and say, hey, like, I love your look. I think you could be a model. And he's based in New York. And he is a mother agent. And what that means is he's the guy who decides based off of his personal expertise where he thinks you should go and work. Because not every model can work in every agency, in every country. There's different markets that suit different looks. And so he is somebody who says, look, you've got this kind of look. I think you'll work well in this part of the world. And this guy, Mike, he messaged me. We had that conversation. And he then got me signed with an agency out here in LA. And then less than a week later, they booked me a flight and now I'm here.
So that's why you're here.
So that's why I'm here.
Wow.
So I've been here for the past 2 months, like riding this modeling wave journey. Just seeing what comes of it and trying not to put too much pressure on the outcome. So the goal I set myself, just for full transparency, when I started this challenge, I said to myself, I'm going to give myself 365 days to post every single day and document my journey to becoming a signed to an agency, international model on every continent on the planet. That was the challenge. So I was signed in my previous initial career in London and in Milan before it all went wrong and I went on TV and lost all my clients. So I was signed in Europe and that was it. So I said to myself, look, I'm going to give myself a year to not just get my career back, but get it to a point it never was before. So I know it wasn't a fluke, basically. And I'm going to document the whole thing from start to finish. And so I'm 100 and something days in.
And you're posting every day.
I'm posting every day.
Where can people find this post?
It's Danny Williams, so ITS, then my name, Danny Williams. The first pinned post on my page is day 1 of my challenge. And I say in the video, I'm going to start this challenge. I'm kind of scared, but here we go. All right. And I've posted every single day on Instagram since then of the highs, the lows, the rejections, the castings, the workouts, anything that's helped me that I can use to help other people, all the lessons, the honest moments where I just feel like shit. And I've just shared that. I said today, I didn't do anything. I felt like shit. Those days happen too.
Awesome.
And I documented the whole thing and I have done so far and I will continue to do at least for the next, year.
What did you post today?
My post today was me going for a run up Runyon Canyon, actually. And I vlogged the journey up the hill and I was just sharing some of my thoughts as I went up and down the hill. So that was today's post, actually.
Do you have a post that you have planned? or
No.
kind of just whatever happens that day?
Whatever happens that day.
You're like, okay, I could post about this.
Sometimes, don't get me wrong, if there's something exciting in the calendar, I'll ahead of time think, okay, that will be a good day to like get some behind the scenes or whatever. For example, like I had a shoot a few days ago with Asics, or you call it Asics out here in America, the fitness shoes brand, clothing brand. And they booked me for a shoot, and my post of the day was like a post of gratitude. Like, you know, I explained why I love modeling and like why I'm feeling so grateful that I get to work with brands where like I go to the head office and there's like a mural of Novak Djokovic on the wall, and like all these athletes and people I admire, and all of the products that I, as a runner and as an athlete enthusiast myself, I think the running trainers and the tech, the high tech, you know, outfit, the training gear, all of that is, I think it's so cool. And I get to be the model wearing it. It's going to go on the website. All of that's so cool to me. So my post that day was just sharing gratitude for that. But then a few days before, I shared a post, ironically, saying how, although I've had fun out here in LA so far, I've not been as successful as I would have liked. And sometimes as a model, sometimes you're hot and then sometimes you're not. And I made a post about saying right now I'm not. Like, I know what it feels like to be in and be shooting like 4 or 5 days a week with different brands, traveling the world. And I also know what it looks like to just be not in season, and people aren't really like, you know, booking you and stuff. And I was feeling a bit like in LA, I've had some green flags, some good things happen, but I'm still relatively unknown out here and I've got to really work my way up. And so I was expressing that in that post. And then ironically, like the next day I had an email come through saying, oh, you got this shoot for ASIC. So it's funny how it's panning out so far. I'm genuinely like, you know, one of my biggest reservations when I started this challenge was, A, I have no idea if any of this is even possible. And B, if all of this does somehow materialize in a way that I can't even conceive yet, I don't even know what it might look like if it does go well. Like, I didn't expect to be in LA after 100 and something days, 90 days, whatever. Like, no way. I thought maybe I could go back to like the UK where I modeled before, and maybe I'd have to start there. And like, but the first thing, like some guy from New York DM'd me, and then now I'm in LA, like crazy.
Well, you're making it happen, man. That's what it is.
Yeah. Like, as cliche as it sounds, you just got to do what you got to live within your own values. That's what you can control. The outcome you can't control. That's where you've got to be a bit spiritual and just like trust the process. If you can just do all of the things which you can control to the best of your ability, what is meant for you will come for you. And again, I can't believe I'm saying that out loud, because that isn't really something which I would have said before or many years ago. But I believe it to be true now. Like, you just focus on the things which you can control and let the outcomes worry about themselves. It'll manifest in whatever way it's supposed to manifest. Like, as woo-woo as that sounds, I do believe that to be true now.
Yeah. Okay, so just real quick, Love Island, because that's a huge show here in the US, all over the place, man.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I hear about it. Can you just tell me what your experience being on that show, like how scripted is it? Because I've seen like a few, honestly, the only times I've seen the show is with females.
Yeah.
And it is very entertaining. It really is entertaining. You know, how raw is it being on set, and how much of it is actually scripted? That's something I've kind of always wondered, like watching like a reality show like that.
Good question. So Love Island and most reality TV shows are not technically scripted, but it is almost entirely premeditated in a way which the contestants often aren't even aware of. Love Island, let's use Love Island as the example. And I've answered this. I've said this before on a podcast, but I'm more than happy to say it again. Love Island is a TV show whose objective is to make money. Like, they're a business, right? ITV or whatever, broadcast or whatever, but in the UK it's ITV. Their objective is to make money. So they want to make the show as entertaining as possible to get as many eyeballs as possible in order to monetize the show as much as possible, right? Like any business, you want to create as much predictable income as possible. If you just leave it all up to chance, it's quite a scary place to be in. If you can guarantee as much as possible the most amount of views to create the most amount of money, that's a better business than just letting everyone just say what they want and leaving it all up to chance, right?
Yeah.
So it's within Love Island's best interests to try and conjure up and orchestrate these situations conversations, interactions that are the most entertaining for the most amount of people.
Right.
It's within their interests.
Yeah, of course.
From a financial business perspective. This is not a moral question or an ethical discussion. This is a business angle that I'm speaking.
Yeah,
from.
no, that makes sense for sure.
So
what season were you on?
5.
5
season. I think it was 5.
How many episodes were you on?
It was 8 years ago, 7 years ago.
Okay.
I was from day 6. I went in.
Were you like one of those people that comes in?
Yeah.
Like what bombshells? Were you a bombshell?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Another funny story. I don't know if we'll have time for it. I think I was supposed to be in the starting lineup, and then the crew came to my house to pick me up, to take me to Mallorca, Spain, weeks before the show started. So I know I was going to be in the start of it. They came to my house to pick me up. My dad's with me to wish me well and send me off and say good luck and goodbye and all that. And I can't find my passport.
Oh.
And,
Jeez.
I'm scrambling. Imagine the ITV producers are here at my house in London. And I'm like, it's got to be here somewhere. I just came back from Milan to go to Mallorca. I left my trip in Milan modeling. I left early to come back to London so I could go to Mallorca and do Love Island. I just used my passport a matter of days before. So I was like, it's got to be here somewhere. It's got to be here somewhere. I turned the whole house upside down. I'm looking everywhere, under the bed, under the cupboards, behind the mirror, in the bathroom, emptying all my pockets, and I can't find it anywhere. And I'm thinking, they're going to just say you've missed your opportunity, whatever. And luckily they was really nice. They was really friendly. And they said, look, don't worry. This won't affect your position. You're still going to be on the show. We still want you to be on the show. But it was a bank holiday weekend, and there was nowhere for me to go and get a same day passport replacement. So what they had to do was they had to put me in a hotel in London, keep me in lockdown, so I couldn't see any media or news
so
or
you
papers.
actually can't see anything that's happening.
You're not allowed to see a thing, because oftentimes the potential contestants, they get leaked to the media and it goes in the papers and all that kind of stuff. So they had me in a hotel in London for 3 days with a supervisor, a chaperone, whilst they replaced my passport for me. That took about 3 or 4 days, that process. And then I finally get my passport. I finally fly to Mallorca, and my whole timeline has been moved back by about a week.
So that's why you came in as a bombshell or a later contestant.
And so I think the initial plan to have me on from the start, which is what I thought was going to happen, I then got put in on day 6 as the first bombshell.
Okay, that's not too far in.
No. I wouldn't have changed it. Actually, it all happened how it was supposed to happen. And so I went on day 6, and then I was there until about 4 or 5 days before the final week. So I was there for probably 4 weeks.
Oh wow! So
3
you
or
made
4
it pretty
weeks.
far.
Yeah, I was in there for a while.
Yeah.
And to answer your question originally, no, it's not scripted. But there are many producers, and there are executive producers, and there are assistants, and the whole team, and then potentially millions and millions and millions of pounds counting on the fact that guaranteed entertainment happens.
Yeah.
Right? A lot's riding on it. We need those fiery, explosive moments. So as the contestant living it, it feels real.
Mm-hmm.
From the outside looking in, we're all just gullible, emotional, sleep-deprived contestants who are being manipulated by the producers to go and have certain conversations, have certain interactions. Well, actually, Danny, I was actually speaking to so-and-so, and she told me privately that she would love it if you went up and had a chat with her about this.
Oh, wow. So, okay, so they do encourage.
Yeah. I know firsthand that she didn't want me to tell you this, but she's got a crush on you. How do you feel about so-and-so picking that girl that you said that you wanted to go out with? Oh, that makes me feel a bit like this. Well, do you want to say something to him about? Do you want to say something to him about it? Well, I didn't really think about it. Well, now's your opportunity. Maybe you should go and have a conversation with him. Those kind of things happen behind the scenes. And you get this Dutch courage and and you think it's your idea. And well, actually, come here, go and have a chat, mate.
Man, I love this
and
insight.
you think it's your idea. You think it's coming from your own heart. But really, there are professional TV show producers whose career it is all about creating those moments.
They've been doing it for so long.
They're professionals. They're incredible.
Dialed in, huh?
They're professionals. And by the way, the very nature of a reality TV show, it attracts a certain type of character. It attracts somebody like me at the time who is young, impressionable, desperate for external validation, doesn't know themselves very well. It attracts those kind of characters.
It's a perfect type of person to get in
The
there.
perfect kind of person for a producer who is like double, 20 years my senior. Look at me and just licking their lips like, you're going to do whatever I say, boy. Like you're just a kid.
Yeah.
Right. And this is no disrespect to those people. They're just doing their jobs. But Love Island and also other reality TV shows, and it's a kind of joke I make sometimes, and maybe I'll get shit for this. If you're a very intelligent, very self-aware individual who knows their values and appreciates healthy relationships, you've got no business going on a TV show like Love Island. Like, it just won't attract you. You won't see yourself as a potential contestant, right?
Mm-hmm.
It attracts the kind of person who has the kind of wounds that makes that person think, if I go and get that external validation, my wounds will be healed, right? It attracts that kind of person. So you've got this villa full of young, pretty people who have been cut off from the real world.
Yes,
They don't have their phone.
No phones.
They feel isolated. They miss their families.
No
They
phone
don't know,
calls?
no phone calls. They don't even know what time it is. You don't even allowed to know the time. And put anyone in that situation for 2-3 days,
Yeah.
you start to revert
It's
back.
like lab rats.
Yeah, you're just primal, instinctive. And there's also this undercurrent awareness of, okay, like maybe millions of people are watching what I'm doing right this very second. I'm eating this porridge, and like maybe the whole world is watching me right now. Like that kind of underlying
Cameras on
ambient anxiety.
24/7 on
Yeah,
you?
it's rolling 24/7.
Yeah.
So there's all that to go in there as well. And like, look, I was 21. The average contestant age probably 25. I'm not
Would you
sure.
do it again?
Hell no.
No.
No. But at the
I mean,
same-
obviously, if
but
you were
like,
single.
But like, yeah, but nuance. Like, would I change it? No. Like, I wouldn't be the person I am today had I not gone through that roller coaster.
Yeah.
It forced me to look in the mirror. It forced me to get real with myself. It forced me to acknowledge my inadequacies. It forced me to go to therapy. It forced me to get clear on my values. All of the upside I get to enjoy my life is completely correlated, is directly correlated.
It shaped you, man. Yeah.
the
I can
downsides,
see,
so.
It can definitely, it shaped the way you are now. It shaped your life and the person you are now. One last Love Island question.
Shoot.
All right? Because I've always been curious.
No,
And,
shoot.
I don't want you to ruin the show, but I mean, are the winners premeditated, you think?
No way.
No? Because people vote, right? So is it really the people voting for the winners?
Is it really people voting for the winners? I can't say with 100% certainty that it is. What I will say is that although it's very... Here's what I think. You film someone for 24 hours in a day. Within that 24 hours, that individual, it can be any individual you want, is going to present facial expressions, emotions, characteristics, traits that you can use to make that individual look like any type of person you want. If I filmed you all day, I'm going to get 10 seconds of you looking angry, pissed off, confused, happy, sad, hungry, tired, all of the above.
It's editing.
Right? I've got enough B-roll of you being every type of human on the sun, under the sun, to create any narrative I want about you. They have that on every contestant, right? And so with all of that data, they have the ingredients to bake any cake they like.
I see.
Right.
That
And
makes
so
sense.
what I think is, I think they have an ideal narrative of what they think will create the most drama, the most chaos, create the most entertainment, to make the most amount of money because they're a business. I think they have an idea of what that looks like, and they try and shepherd, almost like sheep, and you want to shepherd people into the pen, whatever it is. They have an idea of what they want that to look like, but I do think they are flexible. Things do happen. Random, unpredictable moments do honestly happen. And so they use all of their ingredients. They have an idea of what cake they want to bake. What cake ends up being baked sometimes looks different. And I do believe that to be true. But what I do think is that a lot of it is, okay, we have all of this footage of Danny looking a bit upset and a bit pissed off, angry. He would make a good angry guy, for argument's sake, right? He plays that role pretty well. We can make him look like that. Okay, cool. And then they pick these ingredients and they can make any character look any way that they want. I don't think there's any personal agenda against me. That's not me being a victim. I just think that's how I would run it. If I ran the show and I wanted to reduce risk and increase profit because I'm a business, that's what I would do. Right?
And you have contestants have no say in how they're portrayed.
No say.
No say. You
No say.
sign whatever you sign.
Yeah,
and
no
it's just
say. Like,
all
you're
your
only-
likeness is
all
just
you-
given away to them.
Yeah, or you think you can control it. Like, I thought when I went in, I genuinely told myself this to kind of calm my own nerves. I thought to myself, I'm a good person with a good heart. I'm polite. What if I'm just myself? What's the worst that could happen? And the truth is, I can be all those things and still at times be a dick, be rude, be arrogant, be snappy. Like, because I'm a human being, and like I present all of those, the full rainbow. Like, we're all human, we're all messy humans. Like, we're all just messy humans.
Especially when you're being recorded 24/7.
Yeah, I don't even think you almost forget you're being recorded. It's more like, especially when you're in a situation where your emotions are heightened permanently. Like, you're in this constant state of arousal where you can't really relax. And so, like, you put someone under that tension and under that kind of scrutiny, and yeah, you're going to see the full range of emotions, of facial expressions, or like, the comments, like, all of that is just, it will be expressed. And from that, you can make anybody look like anyone or anything.
Sure. Yeah.
All you can do to stop that is just like not say a word and just like zip, like don't say anything. Then you'll be made out to be like unwell, or like, like you're too shy, you're too quiet, or whatever. And so you want to some degree, you can obviously just be yourself, and they're not going to use AI to make you say things you never said or whatever, but
They can still
believe
build their
me,
own
like,
narrative.
yeah, with enough
Yeah.
side eyes, like, you're just like looking at someone open the door and like there's nothing to it. But in a certain sequence of frames of clips, that could look really like malevolent and dangerous and like, what
Yeah.
like you just like you want to kill somebody,
Yeah,
right?
it's
With
the-
certain
the-
background music and certain transitions, you can make that look like an evil
The magic
stare.
of editing. That's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what they're amazing at, this show. They're
Yeah.
incredible. And that's
Yeah.
why it's so entertaining.
It is really entertaining. And like I said, I've only watched a few episodes of a few seasons. I don't think I could watch that show like on my own. But when I do watch it, it is entertaining, and you do want to keep watching it to see what happens, And then you get attached to these characters, to these people. You're like, oh, I like this person. Oh, I like this girl. Oh, this guy. It's a crazy show, man. But thanks for sharing that insight on Love Island.
No, you're more than welcome. It fascinates me as well. Like, I'm obsessed with psychology and human behavior and behavior change. Like, that's why we founded Rewhyrd. And I find it fascinating from that perspective, Like, I truly believe that we're all being driven by this need to look for evidence to prove that our theories about ourselves and about the world are correct. And sometimes those theories are self-destructive. Sometimes those theories are I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not successful enough. And we live our life in a very like self-sabotaging way, just because humans, we'd rather be right about the fact that we're messed up than admit that we're wrong and that we could be incredible people, right? And a lot of us get addicted to these TV shows and to toxic relationships or to whatever it might be, insert negative thing, because oftentimes it validates the belief system we already have about ourselves and about the world. So if I'm sat here with low self-esteem and I struggle to believe in myself, and then I go and watch TV and everyone is super confident and super energetic and beautiful, that proves to me that my theory about myself, that I'm not good enough and I've got low self-esteem, is correct. And so I get addicted to these self-validating experiences much more than going out there and seeking what's unfamiliar, because that signals unsafety. I'd rather be safe in my misery.
Yes.
I'd rather be addicted to what makes me unhappy because it feels safe.
Yeah.
And I find that fascinating.
Yeah, that's very fascinating. Man, we talked about a lot of things, and I love this conversation, man. Thanks for coming to the podcast. Thanks for coming to the studio. And it's a pleasure having you on, and welcome to LA. And I wish you nothing but the best in your modeling journey. And I'm glad you're back to modeling after that, hiatus that you took from after Love Island. And it kind of really sucks that people dropped you after that, but I think you could rebuild, man. You're a great looking guy. You're a good looking guy for modeling. Like, I think you're going to do great for modeling, and I wish you nothing but the best. So good luck. I'm gonna keep an eye on your content every day. How long do you think you're gonna be posting for?
Uh, Dude, firstly, thank you so much. You said so many kind things there. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to connect and for us to chat. I'm so glad that we could do this, and I appreciate you and your time. Equally, I'm super impressed by you and your own journey. I can't wait to see what's next for you. I was speaking to Becky about like your mentality and your mindset and just how much of a hustler you are. That is exactly what you need to get to where you're trying to get to. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your energy. Modeling, I have a suspicion I'm going to continue this journey until the year is up, and then I'm going to feel like I have a sense of momentum that I will be scared to drop. And so I hear people doing these challenges where it starts off as a year and then it becomes this like, oh, I'm going to do 5 years or 7 years, whatever. And because it benefits them so much. What I love about this journey, just sorry to wrap this conversation up, is I'm not trying to become something or someone that isn't aligned with me and my values. So this challenge, it encapsulates everything we've spoken about in today's conversation. It forces me to show up every day and be the version of myself that makes me proud of myself. I have to document me doing the things that make me feel like the best version of myself. That's one of the biggest hacks ever about creating content every day about something you're actually aligned with, is that even though I know I love the gym, I know I love eating healthy, I know I love looking after myself, I know I love showing up, dressing well, whatever it might be, I know all of those things and still I can be inconsistent, unmotivated, lack discipline. Like we know all of these things and yet still we can block ourselves sometimes. Knowing I have to post every day is like the ultimate accountability. And the more reps you do, the more those reps compound. So that feeling of I'm going to show up today and post is so much stronger now than it was that day 20 or day 10. Like I could have easily quit on day 10 and nobody would have noticed.
Yeah.
I'm day 100 and something in now. If I miss a day, I'm fucked. Right? And so I have this accountability that is not just making me be accountable for something for that thing's sake, but it's keeping me accountable to a lifestyle that I actually enjoy living and makes me proud of myself, makes me feel like a success. That's why it's so cool. And that's why figuring out your why is so important. Like if you can get clear on what you actually value, then you can start living a life which makes you proud of yourself and makes you feel like the best version of yourself. Like what is actually more important than that? I can't think of anything that's more important than that. Like genuinely. And when you're operating from that place, it sounds selfish, but actually it's the most selfless thing you can do, because if you care about other people in your life, you'll be able to give them the best version of you as well. So you get to be the best version of you, live all your best experiences, model for cool brands or travel the world or whatever makes you happy. But that version of you that's doing all those things that makes you proud of you gets to pour into other people who you love and care about at the highest possible level. So like you make the world a better place because you've made your own world a better place. I don't know what's more important than that, genuinely. I know we've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, but like it fires me
I love
up.
it.
It makes me passionate because it's so true. And I know what it feels like to be in such a dark place where none of that felt real or possible. It all felt like empty words and, oh, it must be nice for you and blah, 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 blah. I know what that downward spiral feels like where you're addicted to finding evidence as to why you have to stay stuck. And it seems like there are just red flags everywhere you go. You stub your toe and then like you get fired from your job and then your friend cancels on you and then your girlfriend dumps you. And then like, it just seems to be like one thing after the other. And it's like, God, why me? Why me? Why me? I know what that feels like. So I'm so passionate now because it's like, there is a way out. It just starts with a decision, you know, like feeling ready isn't a feeling. It's a decision is a mantra that I'm trying my best to live by. We're always waiting to feel ready before we do the thing that we don't feel ready to do. That is a myth. That's never going to happen. That's why you've been stuck for so long. If you want to feel ready, decide you're ready. And the feeling will come later. That's something which I just want to live by because it's literally changed my life. And it will continue to change my life the more I try and practice it.
Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, Danny Williams.
Dude, thank you so much.
Man, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
No, all good.
That wraps up this episode, man. We said that we were gonna go for about 40 minutes, and look at us. We went for I think over an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
7:50.
It's pretty crazy. We had so much to talk about.
We could have talked all night.
Yeah. This was great, man. So again, good luck with everything. Wish you nothing but the best. And is there anything else? Any last words you want to say? How people can find you?
Just our socials at Rewhyrd. RE, the word Y, and then RD.
Perfect.
Rewhyrd.
Beautiful. All right, man. Thank you so much.
Dude, thank you.
We'll see you guys on the next one.
Hey.